Ontario is again reporting a daily record of COVID-19 cases with 1,575 new infections recorded today. Province is also reporting 18 new deaths related to the novel coronavirus. Health Minister Christine Elliott says there are 472 new cases in Toronto, 448 in Peel Region, 155 in York Region, and 91 in Ottawa. The province says 917 more cases are considered resolved, and the nearly 39,600 tests have been completed since the last daily report. In total, 431 people are hospitalized in Ontario due to COVID-19, including 98 in intensive care. 94 long-term care homes are currently experiencing an outbreak of COVID-19, with 695 active cases among residents and 435 among staff. The latest figures bring the total of COVID-19 cases in Ontario to 89,784, with 3,293 deaths and 75,228 cases resolved. Meanwhile, Ontario is set to release new COVID-19 projections. Sault Ste. Marie police have arrested a man in connection with a break-and-enter. Officers attended a business in the 0 to 100 block of Wallace Terrace early Tuesday morning. They say they saw the accused walking away from a vehicle while the engine was still running. Taking a look inside the vehicle, police say they found a pile of wire. Security staff at the business confirmed the wire was their property. Police arrested and charged 41-year-old Calvin Howerluck with break-and-enter, theft under $5,000, possession of property obtained by crime, and possession of break-in tools. Crown lawyers at the trial of the man who carried out Toronto's 2018 van attack are seeking access to interviews he had with psychiatrists hired by the defense. Alec Manassian has admitted in court to killing 10 people and hurting 16 others when he drove a van down a crowded Toronto sidewalk on April 23, 2018. He has pleaded not guilty and is asked to be found not criminally responsible for his actions. Crown lawyer Joe Callahan says prosecutors have not received video and audio of interview psychiatrists hired by the defense conducted with Manassian and his family. Manassian's state of mind at the time of the attack is the sole issue to be decided at the judge-alone trial, which is being conducted via video conference due to the pandemic. The defense has not yet stated what mental disorder Manassian will argue he suffered from at the time. Daniel LaPrade is up next with your local weather right after this.
Good evening and welcome back on your Thursday, November the 12th. We don't have a whole lot going on today. The radar is pretty calm. We do see the sun is out, but let's take a look at the radar and you can see what's coming our way tomorrow. We do have a low pressure system that is moving its way and tracking east. That's going to hit us probably by tomorrow afternoon, and we're going to see the weather change throughout the weekend and into early next week. We're going to start to see the snow come in. However, right now we don't have a whole lot to worry about, so we will get right into our camera here and show you what's going on outside. Yes, the sun is out. The camera has moved once again, so beautiful shot there. Wirelesscom.ca is who sponsors our camera, and they provide cameras like this with high quality and, of course, telecommunication services. So make sure that you check their website out for all their services that they have. All right, let's get into your temperatures for the region. The expected highs today, 0 in Thunder Bay, all the way up to 4 in Wawa and 7 in Timmins. 11 here in the Sioux. We are the hot spot, and 7 and 8 in Elliott Lake and Sudbury. Overnight, quite wide-ranging temperatures once again. -7 in Thunder Bay, -1 in Wawa. We're 1 here in the Sioux, and 3 degrees in Elliott Lake and Sudbury. Now we will see overnight increasing cloudiness. Periods of rain will begin near midnight. That will shift. The winds will shift southwest 20 kilometers, and they will become northwest 30 kilometers overnight. And that's going to set the tone for the low pressure system that moves in on Friday. We are going to see periods of rain end in the morning. Then we'll see cloudy with a 70% chance of flurries. Winds will be northwest 30 kilometers gusting to 50. We are going to see a high of 4 on Friday, and we will get to a low of -2 overnight with cloudy periods and a 40% chance of some flurries overnight. So that's moving its way in. Saturday, a little bit of a break, mix of sun and cloud on your date, or for the daytime rather, 6 degrees, but then as we get into the nighttime, we will see either snow or rain, or maybe a mixture of both, and sleet with a low of 2 degrees. Then on Sunday, yes, you're going to see rain all day, not much to report there. Quite dreary, and then 2 degrees overnight on Sunday with rain or snow once again. And that's going to set the tone for, look at this, Monday and Tuesday. We're going to most likely see some accumulation of snow few centimeters at least. 2 degrees on Monday and -1 on Tuesday is your high. That's going to change though. We will get back up to a mix of sun and cloud on Wednesday and then overcast on Thursday, back up to 5 degrees. Overnight, you're seeing those lows. Look at, there's a lot of 2s on the board there, my goodness. But we're going from -2 up to +2, back to -2, and then down to -5, and then up to 1 degree by Thursday. So that's what's going on. Your sunrise was at 7:36 Eastern, and your sunset is at 5:08 Eastern. So just coming up right now. So here you go. So here's your weather watcher photo. And this is from Nick Zanata. This is Lake Lozon. So thank you very much for sending this in. It's in Algoma Mills, actually. So it's a beautiful shot there. If you do have weather photos or videos that you want to send in to us, make sure you send them to ontvweather@gmail.com. You include your name and location, then I know where it's coming from. And then, of course, it goes up on our show, First Local, as well as on the newscast and on SiouxOnline.com, which will push it to our social media channels so that everybody gets to see your photo there. And while you're on SiouxOnline.com, you can take the time to read all the stories that we present to you, and the weather is there as well. And you'll find all the links to our social media, which includes YouTube, where you can view everything on demand, our Facebook. We appreciate when you like and share the page. And of course, Twitter and Instagram are also there for you, so make sure you check that out. I will be back in the morning. Mike will be back right after this break with more news. Have a great evening.
The 9 CFL teams are unveiling their local events for the league's Grey Cup Unite program. The CFL will be staging Grey Cup Unite starting on Monday, with many of the events that are usually held during its annual championship week being presented virtually. In August, the league canceled its 2020 season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Grey Cup game was originally scheduled to be held November 22nd in Regina, but the iconic trophy won't be presented this year for the first time since 1919. Hamilton is scheduled to stage the 2021 Grey Cup, with Regina to hold the 2022 contest. With today's announcement, CFL teams will collectively stage nearly 40 events over 4 days next week, including virtual tailgate parties and traditional Grey Cup functions as the Spirit of Edmonton and Touchdown Manitoba. York Region Public Health says there are at least 17 confirmed COVID-19 cases linked to 2 weddings in Vaughan, which it says is the 3rd largest cluster of cases linked to wedding-related events in that region. The health unit says the wedding ceremonies held at separate locations in October both had between 130 and 140 people, including some guests who attended both. The department says both ceremonies had pre-wedding household gatherings, and there was a high risk of COVID-19 exposure because of insufficient physical distancing and masking. The RCMP watchdog has uncovered shortcomings with the National Force's crowd control measures, physical searches, and collection of social media information while policing anti-fracking protests in New Brunswick. In a long-awaited report issued today, the Civilian Review and Complaints Commission for the RCMP chastises the Mounties for their reluctance to take action on some of the findings and recommendations. The Commission received 21 public complaints related to the RCMP's management of protests in 2013 over shale gas exploration in Kent County, as well as in various other parts of the province. The report notes that a primary motivation for Indigenous protesters was their dedication to protecting land and water they considered their own, unceded to the Crown through treaty or other agreement. A court-issued injunction limited protest activity, and despite some progress through negotiations between the RCMP and demonstrators, the Mounties cleared an encampment in a tactical operation, sparking a melee and numerous arrests. The federal government is expected to announce long-awaited plans today to help Canadians living in Hong Kong amid the Chinese clampdown on democracy in the territory. Immigration Minister Marco Mendicino is to unveil the government's plans at a press conference in Ottawa. Canada's relations with China are at an all-time low because the People's Republic has imprisoned 2 Canadian men, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, in what the Trudeau government has branded as coercive or hostage diplomacy. Kovrig and Spavor were rounded up by Chinese authorities in December 2018, 9 days after Canada arrested Chinese high-tech scion Meng Wanzhou on a U.S. extradition warrant. The sacrifices of Canadians past and present were honored alongside messages of hope as small crowds braved the pandemic to mark Remembrance Day across the country, while thousands more paid homage from their homes. Past ceremonies have largely focused on the hundreds of thousands of Canadians who fought in the two Great Wars, and this year was the 75th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. Still, with 8 members of the Canadian Armed Forces having died while on duty this year, and thousands more serving in long-term care homes battered by COVID-19, commemorations had an added level of resonance. Many of the traditional elements of the annual ceremony played out in Ottawa, but signs of the pandemic were everywhere. Those participating in the ceremony wore masks, but perhaps most notable was the absence of veterans from the Second World War and the Korean War, whose age puts them at particular risk from the novel coronavirus. The federal Liberal government has tapped a former Army officer as Canada's new Veterans Ombudsman 6 months after the last watchdog quit amid frustrations over the post's lack of independence. Retired Colonel and Afghanistan war veteran Nishika Jardine is the 4th person to serve as the Veterans Ombudsman and the first woman to fill the post since it was created in 2007. Veterans Affairs Minister Lawrence MacAulay announced Jardine's appointment yesterday as Canadians mark Remembrance Day with scaled-back ceremonies across the country due to the pandemic. Jardine, who was born in India and retired from the Canadian Armed Forces last year after 37 years in uniform, succeeds Craig Dalton, who quit suddenly in May after only 18 months on the job. Dalton at the time expressed some frustration with the office's lack of independence from the federal government. I'm Mike McDonald. We have more news and weather coming up.